Thank you for having me.
All right, good to see you. Let's go right straight into it as it stands. It's been 7 days since the emergency rule was declared in Rivers State. And everything that a lot of Nigerians were told that was the major reason for the declaration of the emergency rule in Rivers State, well, many people say they haven't seen that. There is a lot of calm. Some people call it uneasy calm. And at the same time, the governor was removed for some of the reasons that were mentioned, but many of these reasons, maybe a lot of Nigerians say these have not been seen. We had PANDEF members on this program days before the emergency rule was declared, and they did have hope that the president was going to, as it were, tender justice with mercy and intervene and, of course, avoid where we are now. But that didn't quite happen. So this is where we are. And right now, in a democracy, there is emergency rule in Rivers State, and a retired military officer is in office. What are your thoughts?
I was in that meeting. I was a delegate from Rivers State in the meeting that PANDEF was invited to meet with the president. So I'm very much aware of what had happened. I was also uneasy at the meeting because I couldn't place my finger on why I felt uneasy, apart from the fact that we had been kept waiting for nearly 2 hours by the president. I felt an unease. It was later, when things began to unfold, that it became clear to me why I was actually uneasy, because already, in my opinion, the decision at the time that we met with the president, the decision to suspend Governor Fubara and the Deputy Governor, Dr. Ngozi Odu, had already been taken. And so, as the former governor of Akwa Ibom State said, that we definitely felt that we had been stabbed in the back, because we met with the president. At no time did we have any indication that what happened was going to happen. We had presented to him some issues that bothered us in the Niger Delta. And the number one issue that PANDEF, which is a representation of Niger Delta peoples, we put Rivers State as the number one item. And he addressed only that issue. And really what he said to us was to go back, tell the governor to obey the court ruling. Well, I mean, at the time he was telling us that, the governor was already in the process of obeying the court ruling, which some people in Rivers State felt that was not justified. The ruling was not justified, because the ruling, if you compare the ruling, and if you look at the two pieces of papers that Governor Fubara signed way back in 2023 or 2024, you would see very clearly that it's very similar, the judgment that was given and the content of the 8 points that the president had made him to sign was very similar. Now, the governor decided that he will go ahead and implement what the ruling had said, whether he agreed or he didn't agree, or whether we agreed or didn't agree. And because the governor had made that decision, some of us who would have made an issue out of it agreed to go ahead with the governor. That meant that the governor had written to the State House of Assembly members through the SSG that he wanted to meet with them. They rejected that letter from the SSG and demanded that the governor write personally to them, which he did. They refused to collect the letter, and the governor took that letter by himself to their where they were sitting. The whole world saw that he was locked out. In the meantime, it was being made to seem and actually being said that the governor was refusing to obey the court's ruling, the Supreme Court ruling. Now, I must point out that one aspect of that Supreme Court ruling, which recognized that the Amehule-led assembly members are still PDP members. Now, we have a case in River State High Court that has yet to decide whether they are still members of the PDP or not, irrespective of them denying that they did not defect after they had sworn an affidavit, after we had seen them defect in Port Harcourt Polo Club, after the publicity secretary and some other people had flown in from Abuja to receive them as APC members. And so when the governor was now was suspended by the president in his pronouncement using a so-called pipeline blow-up that really is yet to be proven that there was a pipeline a blow-up. Using that and saying that the president had decided because there was insecurity and crisis in Rivers State. It's incorrect. Whoever had told the president that had lied to the president. There was no, and still there is no, even at the point today that we have been imposed with a sole administrator in a very unacceptable manner, in which the House of Assembly and the honorable House members had gone about what they had done, bearing in mind that people like Senator Tambowa, are now coming out to say that they didn't have a quorum and that there were no head count, and that it's unacceptable in such a critical and serious matter that you will use voice counts. Voice nay and yes is not allowed. We have a right to know and see who is voting, who is not voting, who was there, who was not there, and how many votes that were cast. If you don't have a quorum, then you can't vote anyway. So how this all cumulated into the governor and his deputy being suspended is unacceptable. And that's what the discussions in the past 1 week, in the past days have been about. Even somebody like Wole Soyinka, Goodluck Jonathan, the former president, expressed it very explicitly when he said, you cannot wake somebody up that is pretending to be asleep, because they're not asleep, they're already awake. So what are you trying to wake them up for? So they know the system, the federal government, the State House of Assembly members, and the FCT minister, and the Senate president all know what they are doing, and that what is being done to Rivers people is unacceptable by us, and we will continue to legally and lawfully continue to make sure that our voices are heard, that this is an assault on democracy that the president today himself had said that he fought for. This is not the type of democracy that Rivers people expect or want as democracy.
For that very elaborate explanation, let me come in this way. The case of the defection of the State Assembly members is still at the Rivers State High Court. Now, in the event that the case, the judgment, is passed, and it is pronounced that they are still members of the People's Democratic Party, if their defection that was so much talked about, if the judgment voids their defection today, should the judgment be passed today and the court voids their defection, what then happens?
Number one, there is serious concern based on the experiences that Rivers people have had to endure since 2023, when the issue started in October to impeach the governor of Rivers State. There is a gang up against the governor and people of Rivers State, even by the people who are supposed to represent them. Why do I say that? The former governor of Rivers State, who enjoyed a support to the extent that he had no issues against him from the people of Rivers State for 8 years. There are pockets of course, you don't expect 100% support in anything.
Okay.
Now, but he had majorly, he had a peaceful governance of 8 years. Now, he is now the FCT minister. I see no reason why anytime we're talking about the crisis, the political crisis that is being infused into the lives of Rivers State and the governor of Rivers State, we hear that they are loyal. Amehule and his gang out of the state assembly are loyal to the former governor of Rivers State. Now, then that means that they are disloyal to the sitting governor of Rivers State. Now, if you're disloyal to the sitting governor of Rivers State, you're disloyal to the people of Rivers State, and you're not representing us. So now that is very worrisome. Now, their case is still in the High Court, as you have rightly said, and so it is, of Rivers State. Unless if the judiciary, as it is stumbling and doing somersaults, if it says that we have no rights, the people or the governor or anybody that, and it is the people that went to court, mind you, that they don't have a right of appeal on the judgment that would be passed if it is against the argument and the prayer that they are saying and using a past precedents of what had happened in other states, which clearly state that if you leave your political party on whose platform you were elected to the State House of Assembly, when there was no crisis in your state, in your party, you automatically lose your seat. If for any reason the judiciary does not surprise us and comes and gives a negative judgment, then there will be a right of appeal. And as long as their issue is pending, it was amazing that the Supreme Court will now recognize them while they had a case against them. And not only recognizing them, he had no business, they had no business recognizing them, because that issue of whether they are still members was not their case to judge upon. But yet the governor of Rivers State agreed that if that is what the Supreme Court said, that he will go along with it. So again, it is wrong for it's not correct for the president to assume from intel that he is getting from one side that the governor is not obeying the orders or the ruling of the Supreme Court. When he was with us, he told us to go back, and this was on the 11th of March, to go back to the Niger Delta and make sure that the governor obeys the court order. The governor attempted severally to obey the court order, to present the budget to them. They kept dodging the governor. The whole world saw it. Nigerians saw it. So to say that he is not obeying court order, and to say that because they claim that pipeline was blown up, which is still under dispute, whether pipeline in Ogoni was blown up or not blown up. The Attorney General of the country came out and outrightly accused the governor of teleguiding the people that blew up the pipeline, as they claim, because it is not yet proven that a pipeline was blown up or that even the governor, Similaye Fubara, is the one that teleguided it. If we remember, pipelines have been blown up for decades. Is it for Similaye Fubara that was teleguiding them? That the next pipeline that is going to be blown up is now going to be teleguided by Similaye Fubara. He has so much on his plate that the least thing that he would do, and if anybody knows him and his character, you will know that he will do anything to avoid any kind of confrontation, even with the former governor of Rivers State, who said, incidentally, in the past, that the issue of godfatherism can never work in Rivers State. And yet here we are today, after he has left office. He is now insisting that he has rights to whatever he thinks he has right to, so that Similaye is now his godson politically, and therefore must obey him. There is no such law in anywhere in our constitution that allows a governor to say that he has finished 2 tenures and that he must do a 3rd tenure through the person he claims that he has brought. If tomorrow Similaye Fubara, now after his own 2 tenure, is going to impose another person, because we should learn our lesson by now in Rivers State and in Niger Delta, that nobody should be imposed on us. We should continue to have our right to vote for whomsoever we please to vote for. And we must never forget that in Rivers State, we have a political dichotomy where it is upland and riverine. So when it goes to upland for 8 years, it comes to riverine for 8 years. Since 1999, the upland have governed for 24 years. It is indeed unfair and unjust. And that's why you find that a lot of upland people are in support of the governor of Rivers State. And that's why I maintain that this issue in Rivers State is not about ethnicity. And it is wrong for anybody to keep pushing this ethnicity drive, that this is about ethnicity.
Accused the governor, Similaye Fubara, as saying that he did say that he wasn't going to heed the agreements that were reached from the meeting he had with the president, because, according to them, he called it political solutions, that political solutions were not going to be feasible, and therefore the governor claimed he wasn't going to hit them. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why do you think so?
Governor, I say so because I know. The governor said that because the president had said to him, these are the things that you have to do. There were 8 items on the pieces of paper. I continue to call them that because that's what they are. They are 2 pieces of papers. He signed them. When he signed them and came back to Rivers State, some of us were opposed to it. I was one of those people that was opposed to it because it is unconstitutional. It is not correct, it is not right for the president to take upon himself the responsibility to say to a governor how he should run his state. So, but Similaye Fubara, not only is that thing a lie, he told Ehie, who was then the Speaker of the House, to withdraw his case from court, which is actually one of the major heavy load that is hanging on the governor's neck. He withdrew, that case was withdrawn. He did so many things. The only thing that he had not done is present the budget of 2024, which he had already done and had already passed. Now, if you have 30-something or 20-something persons in a state house of assembly in a 23 local government area. And 27 of those people who are supposed to represent their constituents walk out on their responsibilities, and 4 did not work out. You cannot now say that those 4 who are representing their constituents should also not represent their constituents. It's irresponsible. And so those 4 remain the authentic representatives of their own persons, whether they are 2 or whether they are 3 or whether they are 4, because they didn't work out. It is 27 people that worked out. And so it is not true that Governor Similar Fubara did not obey the majority of what was he signed in that 2 pieces of papers. The people that refused to withdraw their own case, where the Amehule led 27 persons, led by, including himself, led by Amehule, did not withdraw their own case against the governor. So this is where we are today in Rivers State. You can't hide the truth. It's all documented. So if the president has allowed himself to be told incorrect situation of Rivers State, where he is now declaring that there is crisis and that he had to step in because of those crises. We were with him a few days before he made that statement. We were with him in a meeting. What stopped him from taking us into confidence? Pandef was looking for a solution to the crisis that is nearly 2 years old. So the intel is incorrect. There is no insecurity in Rivers State. I live in Rivers State. I live in Port Harcourt. Therefore, nobody can tell me that there is such insecurity in Rivers State that led the president to declare without warning at all whatsoever. No chance was given to the governor, to the deputy governor. As a matter of fact, the deputy governor had no role from the beginning in this crisis. Not one day was her name mentioned by any party. So how was it suddenly that the president is suspending the 2 of them? It is to make sure that Rivers people were denied even the services of the governor or the services of the deputy governor that we voted for. And we are now saddled with a sole administrator that was just called out, I would want to believe, from the blue and said, pack your bags, go to Rivers State and go administer governance in Rivers State. No, we do not need a sole administrator. The reasons that could have led to what a military takeover of a state in a democratic dispensation is not available in Rivers State. And truthfully, as a Rivers daughter, I am highly pained, like the majority of Rivers people. I am highly pained because we want our governor to continue in what he is doing. The governor is a peaceful person, and we have followed his path. The governor is a humble person. He is a gentle person. Everybody, even people are telling him he was too gentle, he was too quiet. I mean, using the might of federal government, even when Amechi was minister and the former governor was the governor, Amechi cannot come into Rivers State and come and be driving in Rivers State with motorcycle outriders. He couldn't do it. Wike would not have allowed him to do it, and rightfully so. But now, why does the former governor think that he's no longer a governor, therefore he is not entitled to those outriders that he is using? And yet Fubara has just looked at it and ignored it. The person that is entitled to outriders is similar to Fubara, and not the former governor, who is now a governor of the FCT if you like. If he wants to be called the governor, he should be called the governor of FCT. He's not the governor of Rivers State. He is the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. And I think he should allow Rivers people to have peace.
I meant to say the president blamed the governors, Siminalayi Fubara, all through during his speech where he declared the state of emergency rule. There was no mention of the minister of FCT as a party to the crisis going on, when in fact there is on record so many videos making the rounds where the minister did affirm how that he had a hand in what is going on. He said this, he said that, where he even made comments about some of the tribes in Rivers State and all of that. So this is one of the reasons a lot of people believe that the intel that the president had may be really correct, which was why he never blamed the FCT minister in all of these, even though, as I said, there are evidence to prove that the minister did affirm his involvement.
You see, the president is disposed favorably to the FCT minister. I've heard him say the FCT minister is a good man. I've heard him say he's doing a good job. That is the president's impression of the former governor of Rivers State, which I have no argument with him because that is his impression. Now, the president cannot have his cake and eat it, or eat his cake and have it, when he knows fully well that the intel on which he made that declaration is untrue. He knows, unless if the president of Nigeria wants to say that he does not know what is going on in Nigeria. Because if he knows what is going on in Nigeria, and everybody has heard the former governor say his involvement, that he will not forgive Fubara. He will not forgive Fubara what? He's not God to decide that who is going to, what did Fubara do to him that he's not going to forgive Fubara? What is the meaning of structure? What is the meaning of agreement? What agreement did he have with Fubara that is bringing such a heavy weight on the people of Rivers State, to the extent that we now are hearing, it is rumored, that the sole administrator is now believing or thinks that he is going to appoint sole administrators in the local government area. He has no such right, because already the local government chairman must be voted for. There is nothing that the sole administrator can claim that gives him the authority to say that he's going to appoint sole administrators. Now, the monies accruing to Rivers State was told by the Supreme Court, that they should seize Rivers State money, which they have. So it's a court ruling. The president, therefore, does not also have a right to now order the release of Rivers State people's money to the sole administrator without going to court. So who is now not obeying the court ruling, and who is not now doing things that they should be done properly? Now, we know that the governor of Rivers State, unless the banks are also going to behave the way that some judiciary members are behaving, but it is known that Fubara has saved a lot of money, in hundreds of billions, since he became governor. We want to know, and we want the sole administrator to know, that Rivers people expect that money to be intact. Rivers State is not a charity state. Everybody that wants to run for president must not use Rivers State people's money to run for president.
Ankio, let me mention something just before we go far from it. You mentioned something about an agreement and all of that. A lot of persons believe that, even citizens of Rivers State believe that there was indeed an agreement between the former governor and Governor Siminalayi Fubara, which is the reason the former governor, Wike, is the one who appointed almost all of the commissioners that they were, except, of course, the Commissioner for Information as they were. And if that is the case, why will there even be an agreement to make him governor, or why will he agree to sign an agreement and then now renege on it, which is why a lot of people believe that is the reason the former governor is angry about the whole scenario?
You see, it's ridiculous. If it's not painful, it's very ridiculous that a former governor can actually believe that he has a right to compel someone who is now the governor of Rivers State that he must sign a document. First of all, look, if there is such a document, we have to see it, because it is being signed on behalf of the people of Rivers State. We have to see that document. Now, what agreement, where in the Constitution is it allowed that there must be, or there should be, or there is allowed to be an agreement between an outgoing governor and an incoming governor to sign documents that is not workable and is not in favor of the people of Rivers State? Where is the agreement? We want to see the agreement that Fubara signed.
All right.
And if that agreement is not in favor of Rivers people, we will tell him that he signed it on his own behalf.
All right.
And that whatever agreement he had with him, he can keep it with him, but not with Rivers people, without the support of Rivers people. The money that has been released to the sole administrator must be accounted for.
Definitely.